Today I'm talking about 3 films featuring Shirley MacLaine. They're also all from when she was in her 20s. They are all romance films, and they are all set in New York City. Also, extra fun fact, in 2 of the films, her character explicitly had her appendix removed, and I desperately wanted to find a 3rd film where that was also true, but like, how do you Google that? You just can't. So interesting though. Anyway, the names of the 3 films that I am talking about today are The Apartment, 2 for the Seesaw, and The Matchmaker. First up is The Apartment. This is a 1960 romance drama, and in 1961, Shirley MacLaine was nominated for Best Actress, and even though it has been 62 years since that event, it is fucking bullshit that she did not win Best Actress, because she gave an insanely good performance here. Like, there are some scenes in here that I have never seen someone do before. It is just incredible what she accomplished in this film, and it is horseshit. Academy Awards did not give her that Best Actress award, because she fucking deserved it, and then some. She eventually did win an Academy Award, and I'm sure she deserved it then, but she without a doubt deserved it here. The Academy Awards should be ashamed of themselves for not giving it to her here. If you couldn't tell, I loved this movie. It's great. It's so incredibly good. So this also stars Jack Lemmon, and the basic premise is Jack is this guy trying to work his way up in the company, and so in his way to brown nose the upper management, he has a very ideally located apartment in New York City, and so he lets the upper management use his apartment for their affairs. Shirley plays a coworker of his that may or may not be sleeping with someone in the company, but he also has a crush on her. Is there gonna be some love triangle-y stuff? Maybe, and not the way that you expect whatsoever. Okay, so what's so great about this movie? It's really truly her performance. Jack does a really great job. This naive young buck who's a yes man. He enjoys life, he doesn't really ask that much from it, and he kind of gets back what he wants. But then Shirley plays this young woman who she's in this relationship that she knows is terrible. She knows it's not working. But the guy that she's dating is a master manipulator. And even though she knows he's just messing with her, she can't bring herself to accept it because she just loves this relationship so much and the joy that it brings her. She just knows that it's worth it, even though she also knows that it's definitely not worth it. This movie made me cry twice. I'm gonna briefly talk about the first time because it's such an incredible scene. This is the scene that I was referring to when I said it's something I've never seen before in a film. I won't give specifics, but generally, Shirley's at this party and it's going well, but then she finds out some very, very devastating news, some soul-crushing news. And the way she reacts to it is insanely realistic, but also brutally sad, because she doesn't start crying, she doesn't start wailing, she doesn't really do any huge outward emotion, but she's also not silent, she responds. It's like her body can technically still react to the outside world. So like Jack Lemmon is there and he's drunk and he's giddy and he's having fun and he's talking to her and she's technically responding. But because he's drunk, he just doesn't notice how incredibly sad she is. And it's not like her eyes are welling up or anything like that. Like, that's the impressiveness of how she was able to convey how sad she was without tears. She was almost stoic in her sadness. And what I love too is I can insanely relate to that moment on both ends of like being so incredibly sad but not being able to just like let those emotions out, and then also the other side of the conversation of just being a happy drunk and not noticing that someone's going through a moment because you're just a happy drunk kind of lost in that. You can just kind of assume everyone's a happy drunk right now because that's how alcohol works. So yes, I without a doubt insanely highly recommend this movie. I put it very, very high, rightfully so, and I stand by my rant at the beginning. She without a doubt deserved that Oscar, and it's bullshit that she did not get it. So yes, loved this movie with my whole heart and 1000% recommend it. Next up is 2 for the Seesaw. This is a 1962 film, and the basic premise is this man is getting a divorce, so he decides to move to New York, even though he doesn't really know anyone there and he doesn't have a job. He just kind of wanders around until one day he meets Shirley, and he kind of just is a big loser, and she takes sympathy for him. And they have this really interesting dynamic of a relationship. Because again, like the last one, there's an age difference and there's definitely a power dynamic issue, but that's inherently part of the story. The entire movie he's dealing with his ex. Like that's what it's about, is him dealing with his ex. And she calls him out on it several times because like they have this relationship that's so strange because he kind of wants to just be a sugar daddy for her, but like he doesn't have the vocab to be like, I want to be a sugar daddy. So it's just like a pseudo relationship that's kind of almost a relationship, but it's messy and weird, but really passionate and just, I don't know, it's so fascinating. I definitely found this movie very, very interesting. My biggest gripe with the movie is that it's just a bit slow at times and a bit boring. It just needed a bit more pace to it. Because again, Shirley gives a phenomenal performance. She's so incredibly talented. And it was based off a play, and I do almost wonder if like, because they had to make changes to make it into a movie, if those changes were a little bit more of a detriment rather than helping it. And I bet seeing this, especially seeing her in this play, would have been incredible, like a 10 out of 10 experience. But yeah, it was just the pacing issues are the main detriment to it. Otherwise though, it's a pretty dang solid movie. So yeah, I would recommend this one as well. Obviously not as highly as The Apartment, but that's one of my top movies of the year, so. But it's worth a watch as well. And lastly is The Matchmaker. This is a 1958 film starring Shirley MacLaine and also Anthony Perkins. And it's based off of the same thing that Hello, Dolly is. So it's the same story, it's just not a musical. It's the title though. There's a woman who's a matchmaker. She has set up this old capitalist greedy man with this young beautiful woman, but maybe the matchmaker wants to get with him, and there's a cute young boy who wants to get with a young woman. Yeah. So first off, this was so weird watching with the other two, because like the other two had comedic moments at times or even funny moments, but neither of them were a comedy. This is full and out a comedy, and like it was so strange seeing Shirley smile, because that's basically her face the entire movie, is just smiling, and I'm like, you're supposed to be super incredibly depressed and maybe on the brink of suicide. How are you smiling? That's basically where my mind was at, just because of the other two films. I picked it because it's also set in New York and I wanted all three to be set in New York because I couldn't find one where she had her appendix out. If you know, let me know. Okay, but talking about the movie in and of itself, it was cute, it was fun, it was fine. My main issues, I really didn't like the two older characters. I mean, you're not supposed to like the guy, the capitalist. He's a cartoon villain. Wasn't entertaining to watch, because watching a bad person do bad things, that can be hard to watch if it's a main character. I think he gave a decent performance. He just has so much screen time that's just gnaws at you. And also the woman who plays Dolly, she was good. And I loved how much she ate. She ate constantly, which was great. That was a good choice. But I don't know, I think just like the way that she was written here, it didn't feel like she was a main character energy. It felt more like she would have made a good side character, but she was the main character. It had the most screen time, and it just didn't feel right. I was way more interested in the young couple, Anthony and Shirley, but like they just didn't have enough screen time and enough stuff to do that would have made me happy. It's a nice little movie, but like it's very okay that Hello, Dolly is more fondly remembered than this one. Like this is fine, but like if you want to hear this story, just watch Hello, Dolly. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got The Apartment sitting at number 3 in the really liked category. The only two that have beat it out are Suspicion, a Hitchcock film, and His Girl Friday. And like it was close to beating Suspicion. It wasn't quite enough to edge out His Girl Friday, because I really, really love that movie. But this easily goes down as one of my all-time favorite movies. Like there's no doubt there. I crazy love this movie and super duper recommend it. It's so good. And after that is 2 for the Seesaw, sitting at number 106 in the quite like section. I know that's a long ways down, but like the really like section and the quite like section are really big. So like, it's not a diss at 2 for the Seesaw. I watched a lot of really good movies this year. And then bringing up the rear is The Matchmaker, sitting at number 148 in the liked section. And this is out of a total of 207 old movies so far. this year.